Hi everybody, welcome back. I think today what I'd like to do is just start off a little series of videos looking at the Google Drive API and how you access it, how you use it, and whatever. It comes with one of my previous videos when I was creating some test data, creating data which had Excel macros, spreadsheet macros embedded in. And I thought it'd be quite interesting if you could just generate test data and then upload it directly without having to go to a file, then going through an upload procedure or through the browser and wherever. I thought could use the SDK to do that, but that would just probably be too easy. So I thought let's just use the HTTP interface so you see a little bit more of what's going on. Rather than just saying yeah it works. I would never ever recommend in a production environment using your own written code. Use the well-tested SDKs. It's just lunacy not to. They've fixed the bugs. They have the retry strategies. It just is the way to do it. But a lot of it is hidden from you. So I think for the initial working, let's just use the HTTP, see if it works, see the underlying error messages that haven't been massaged, whatever. Okay, so the first thing we need to do when using Google is to create a project and then set up all the endpoints and all the scopes which we need, and OAuth2 scope being the permissions. So you as a developer set the permissions at the start, and you can update those permissions as your project matures, has different functionality added. But you do have to start off with that, and you get some interesting endpoints you need as well. We need to put that in, and with this particular way Google works, because the application isn't authorized by Google, you can only use it with internal email addresses, which is exactly what I want to do, really. So the first thing we need to do is to go to the Google console, which is console.cloud. Where are we? Google.com. Right. So I'm actually have a user which I've set up, and it's called Kevin's YT Demos at gmail.com. Next, it's going to ask me password. There we go. So we're in now. So what we need to do is to start off, and this, to be honest, this screen does vary when you're using it. I've previously working in that was the last project. It just remembers what went on. I actually did clear out all the cookies, and it doesn't seem to have forgotten that. So what we'll do is we'll say click up there, and then we'll click new project, and I'm going to call it YT Demo 10. Doesn't really matter what you call it. So we'll do the create. Sits there, spins a bit while it does it. There we go. So now we do the select project. We'll just click anywhere just to come out of there. The quick access we need to go to is the APIs and services. So we'll click into there. Just close that. So the first thing we need to do is to find the APIs and enable them that we want to use. So we click on enable APIs and services. And it here, because I'm going to use Google Drive. And you probably know Google have many APIs. So there we are, Google Drive. You've got Activity API and labels. We don't want those. We just want the Google Drive API. So we'll select that. And then we'll say we'll enable that. Okay, it just takes a few seconds to work through. So we've now got that. Now, potentially when you try and do this, you'll have a different screen. There is the new experience, and when I've been using this, it sometimes says, would you like to move to the new experience? Sometimes it doesn't. So it's very similar. It's very similar, and unfortunately, things like Google, they're changing constantly. So we've created the Drive API. So the first thing we need to do is create credentials. So we'll just click on Create Credentials. Let's say, yeah, I want to use the Google Drive API. You can actually select other ones there as you want, but we're not gonna do that. we're going to use application data. Sorry, we're going to use user data because we need no auth client because it's specific to you when you log in. Application data would use a service account because that's data on behalf of an application. So we'll do user data and we'll click next. We don't need the app name. I'm just going to call it YT Demo 10 again. User support email. And I believe before you're approved, you have to use the email address associated with the account, which is that. So we just click that. You can't change that, unfortunately. Another mandatory field here is to develop a contact. So we'll just put that in again. Well, Kevin's YT demos. We'll save that and continue. Right, these are the permissions now, so we need to add and remove scopes. Now you'll see there's only 41 there. That's because I've enabled the Drive API and nothing else really. If that Drive API wasn't there, you'd only see 21. I think you probably would just see the analytics and the big query. It defaults to some reason. I have no idea. So we'll just need to click through next until we find the Google Drive APIs. So this is see, edit, create, and delete all of your Google Drive files. Excellent. So we'll do that. So we'll choose that one just for now. The scopes are explained in quite a lot of depth in the Google Docs. Sometimes you have to look 3 or 4 times. So a lot of documentation. I think some of it's maybe out of date now, because there are 2 versions of the Drive API. There's version 2 and version 3. And in a future video, we'll have a look at the difference between them, just really because it will confuse anybody who comes across it. So okay, we're going to choose the Google Drive API. We'll say update. It's decided to do that. And down here in the restricted scopes, that's where this particular scope's being put. As you can see, there are non-sensitive scopes and sensitives, but it likes to regard this because it can delete all of the files. So it says, yeah, fine, I'll make you a restricted scope. So we'll save and continue. We now need to generate the OAuth client ID. Now we're going to do it by a web application. There are these other ones, but we're just going to use web application to do this. Just call it web client 1, it's not a problem. We're not going to use JavaScript, but we are going to use a redirect URL. The redirect URL is what the Google Authentication Server, authorization server. That's the URL it delivers your tokens to. Well, actually, your user token. So we just need to tell it now. If you're in production, this has to be HTTPS. But if you're using local host, it does let you use. It does let you use HTTP, which is exactly what we want. Now, when we do listen, we're going to actually listen on port 15678. Do that. We're happy about that. We'll create that. There we go. Now, this file contains the secrets, and it contains the client ID. So we need that. So we'll download that. As you can see, it's now landed in my downloads folder. We'll say that's done. There we go. So what we need really is to have a look at these other pages as well, because we haven't configured the auth consent screen yet. Now, this is where we have to give a test user. So you can only use users that are pre-registered, and because of it, you can only pre-register Google users, Gmail users. So we'll do the add. Since there's no user at the moment, you can have up to 100. Right, so we'll just add a user. So in here, I want just add that again, that email address. So we'll do Kevin's YT demos at gmail.com. Kevin's YT demos, yeah. Click a save. Now what's done is it's actually verified that is a Google Gmail account. Presumably I could put anything in there. I haven't tried. So we can just do another save. And there it lands in there. Curiously, you don't get a save option down here to use this. So there we are. We have our credentials set. There's our web client 1. We can click in here. It's all done and dusted really now. We just need to use it. Now, the credentials is interesting. There's our client secret. Doing this download does exactly the same download as we did previously, where the file dropped into our downloads folder. You can only see this once, I believe, though I've just came back to it, so I'm not too sure if that's actually true. But we can refresh any time, and I will. Well, I'll delete everything before I publish the video anyway to do that. So if we just close our little browser now and do that, and we'll just go into the downloads folder. Let's go admin on this machine into downloads. Just download them in order. So you can see I've done a few today. So here's the current one I've downloaded, which was just a few minutes ago. So we'll just do a more on this. Actually, we don't need to put it into the into an editor. We'll just do a more client secret. Do I have any with a 7 on the front? Only that one. So I only need to type that. Do a tab. We get to the end of the file. So here are my parameters. So there's the client secret. I said that's the one you shouldn't really give to anybody. So, sorry, I'm talking rubbish. Sorry, the client ID. That's the ID of the application. That's how Google knows that this is the application that you're using. It's YT demo 10 as we did, and we've got to look for the client secret. There we are. So that's the client secret. So if I just grab this client ID, we'll do that. We'll do Control C. Let's start another window. So we go into, and we go into test OAuth, I called it. And now we have this file in here, which is called OAuth parameters.json. This is the file. It's actually just sits in that directory. So we want to put in the client ID into there, and then we want to go and get that client secret. Whoops. And then we drop, oops, there we go. We'll drop that into there. Control V, file, and save. Do that. Now that's essentially all you need to do to set up the application. What it will be interesting in is just a kind of a sneak preview to what one of the next videos is going to be. We'll just get into our folder. Let me just move these downloads out as well. Just do that. Here we are. So the piece of code I've written to generate the actual tokens is called OAuth2 client.php. And we'll talk about this in much more depth in the next video. But once we run this, we actually fire off a browser. We'll do that, and there's my username because it knows who I am. So we'll do that. Now this is because, as I said, it hasn't been published. It's only used internally. So you can either come straight out and say, no, I don't like this, but because this is what our whole reason for being here is what we're doing. We'll say, yeah, we'll continue to that. It says, yeah, it's going to share your email. Yeah, you can do that. Onto here, knows the name of the demo app. So you're quite confident that you signed the right place. And the last thing you do is to say, yeah, I'll give you permissions to have a look at my files on the drive. I've delegated this authority for you to do that. Then we do the continue. Now what's happened is, and we'll have a look at this in a second, the browser has passed back the code into there. Now this is where the redirect URL comes in. So we'll have a look at that, and I'll put some more debugging and whatever, some trace points into this script so we can see what's coming up. But what we can do now, and again, this is from the third video where we'll do that. I just wrote a little test query. Not test query at all. It's called run query. There we go. And you can just put in the little query you want to put in here. So what we're going to do is we want to look at drive 2. We'll have a look at drive, it's version 3. And I just want to see the files. So there's the files which are in that Google Drive. There's only one. That was a test file. If you actually use version 2 of the API, you get a lot more data. You get everything. So version 3, you have to be a bit more selective what you do. The other interesting one when you use this is if you use the about, so that gives you some information about the user. Mandatory, it's got to have fields. So do click, and we'll do fields equals, and it's user, I believe it is. So we'll do that. So we'll get the user. Now, I often get this, and I don't know why it does it. I must just be wrong on the syntax. What's wrong with that? I'll tell you why. It's because I can't spell. It's F-I-E-L-D-S equals user. And there we get the restricted information. We can bring that back. If you wanted to give slightly less, you can say user and in brackets. So we'll just have display name. Respect the case because it's JSON, and we'll do that. And there we just get that. So we'll talk a lot more about this as we move through, but that's it. We've now set up the application. We've got the token that we need and the refresh token that we need to use the API. So that's it for today, guys. Short video. So next one, we'll talk about how we actually do that, how I wrote that client code to get that. And then the third one, we'll run through a few more queries. So have a nice time, and I'll see you in the next one.